Kyle Richards is one of the longest-running housewives in the Real Housewives franchise. The original housewife has been a part of the series since season 1 and has shared her experiences, from her hardships with her sisters to her separation from Mauricio Umansky. With season 15 on the horizon, fans are eager to know if Kyle will be back for her 15th season. As of the publication of this article, the housewives have not yet started filming. With RHOBH no longer a part of the series, Bravo added another famous face to the mix, RHOBH. Once the roster is solidified, it's presumed that information about filming will leak. However, will Kyle be a part of the chaos, or is her time on the series done? Let's dive in. Kyle Richards is returning for season 15. In early June, Andy Cohen was a guest on the Today Show, where he spoke about the future of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. At the time, designer and stylist RHOBH had just announced her addition to the series. Andy continued the conversation by sharing that Kyle is coming back as well. According to Briefing on Bravo, he concluded, "I don't know if I'm supposed to announce that, but she is." Andy also hinted at other housewives joining Kyle and Rachel when he explained how well Rachel fit in with the cast. Now, the great thing is she legitimately knows Boz, St. John, Sutton, Strack, Jennifer Tilly, Kathy Hilton. So she knows them, and she's in that universe. She's going to fit right in perfectly. Kyle left season 14 in a chaotic state. Kyle and her former close friend Dorit Kemsley were going head-to-head over disagreements in their friendship. The mother of four was, and is still, in the middle of a separation from her husband of almost 30 years, Mauricio Umansky. She's in a curious relationship with country singer Morgan Wade. The issue that many viewers and castmates have is that Kyle hasn't been authentic or transparent about her relationship with Morgan. All About the Real Housewives reported that the stakes are high for Kyle as producers are urging her to be more open about her relationships with Mauricio and Morgan. Briefing on Bravo shared that producers have offered a large incentive for Kyle to come back to the series, but it's evident to the masses that she'll have to share more. Kyle was the big question mark for the longest time, but she is coming back. Producers offered her a big incentive to come back, so she is. A source claimed Kyle's had long talks with production about what she is willing and not willing to show. She knows, basically, she has to step it up next season. They continued, she says she's showing as much as she can without hurting those around her. But fans want to see more of her personal life, which includes her dating life. Now that it's official that Kyle is returning for season 15, she'll be the longest-running housewife in the franchise, beating the Real Housewives of Orange County's Tamra Judge. How did Kyle Richards leave season 14 of RHOBH? Season 14 of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills wasn't the strongest of seasons. Outside of Dorit Kemsley's divorce and the issues she faced with Kyle Richards and Sutton Strack, the season lacked something special that it once had, especially when it came to Kyle's personal life. Kyle was still in the middle of a separation from Mauricio Umansky while keeping her alleged relationship with Morgan Wade quiet. Andy Cohen pressed Kyle about her and Morgan's bond and urged her to be more transparent to audiences. But little was shared in season 14. "I'm not going to, for example, say something that is going to affect my daughter's lives for a TV show, for a network, for fans, for ratings ever," Kyle said during the season 14 reunion. "So if it's going to hurt somebody that I love and care about, I don't care." Andy Cohen made sure Kyle understood where fans were coming from. After all, she introduced Morgan to the cast and cameras in an earlier season. And now, she suddenly doesn't understand why the masses want more information on their relationship. Putting out a music video, Morgan's "Fall in Love with Me," that is like the two of you as lovers, it contributed so mightily to a conversation that was already a runaway train. And that was totally in her hands. Andy said, "At some point, you can't have your cake and eat it too." Although Morgan wasn't in season 14 after being in season 13, it looks like Kyle will be more forthcoming about all the rumors and loud silences for season 15. As one of the longest-running housewives, Kyle owes it to herself and to the franchise to share where she's at in her private life 15 years after the series began. The camera's red eye blinked, a silent predator in the opulent Beverly Hills mansion. Kyle Richards, still reeling from the whirlwind of season 14, felt its gaze like a physical weight. The separation from Mauricio, the whispers about Morgan Wade, the escalating feud with Dorrit. It all swirled in her mind, a chaotic maelstrom threatening to engulf her. She stared at her reflection in the gilded mirror, a familiar face etched with 14 seasons of televised triumphs and tribulations. The woman looking back was a veteran, a survivor of countless filmed arguments, lavish parties, and raw emotional confessions. But this time, it felt different. The stakes were higher. A memory flashed, Andy Cohen's insistent voice at the season 14 reunion, pressing her about Morgan. "You can't have your cake and eat it too, Kyle." The words had stung, resonated with the part of her that knew, deep down, he was right. She had introduced Morgan to this world, invited the questions, and then, instinctively, pulled back. Her daughter's privacy, she'd argued, but was it truly for them or for herself? The news had broken just weeks ago, a casual bombshell dropped by Andy himself on the Today Show. Kyle Richards is coming back. The words had echoed across the Bravo universe, sparking both excitement and a renewed sense of anticipation for the drama she would undoubtedly bring. She would be the longest-running housewife, a title that felt both like a badge of honor and a heavy crown. Her phone buzzed. It was Rachel Zoe. "Kelly, darling, have you heard? They're finally doing it. Filming's almost here. Can you believe it?" Rachel's voice, a familiar blend of effervescence and fashion world flair, cut through Kyle's anxieties. "I can," Kyle said, a faint smile touching her lips. Rachel, with her effortless glamour and pre-existing connections to the cast, Boz, Sutton, Jennifer Tilly, even Kathy, was a brilliant addition. She would bring a fresh energy, perhaps even a much-needed distraction from Kyle's own simmering personal issues. The weight of expectation. The call with Rachel ended, and Kyle's mind drifted back to the conversations with the producers. They had been clear, authenticity, and transparency. That was the mantra for season 15. A big incentive had been offered, a sum so substantial it was hard to refuse. But the real cost, she knew, wasn't monetary. It was the emotional toll of laying bare the most vulnerable parts of her life. She knows, basically, she has to step it up next season, a source had leaked. She says she's showing as much as she can without hurting those around her. The words were a bitter pill. She genuinely believed she was protecting her daughters, shielding them from the harsh glare of public scrutiny regarding her separation and her evolving relationship with Morgan. But the fans, and by extension, the producers, wanted more. They wanted the full, unvarnished truth. She walked through the silent halls of her home, a house that once resonated with the laughter of a family of 6, now felt strangely hollow. Mauricio was in Aspen, chasing real estate deals, building his empire. And Morgan was on tour, her soulful voice reaching thousands, while their own unspoken melody played out in the private corners of Kyle's life. The decision to return had been agonizing. The comfort of the familiar, the established routine of filming, the camaraderie with some of the women, these were powerful draws. But the thought of reliving the pain of her marriage's unraveling, of navigating the complex terrain of her connection with Morgan under the microscopic lens of a reality show, made her stomach clench. The ghosts of seasons past. Season 14 had been a tough act. The friction with Dorrit had created an uncomfortable tension, a fissure in what was once a rock-solid friendship. It wasn't just a petty squabble. It felt deeper, rooted in unresolved issues and, perhaps, Kyle admitted to herself, in her own emotional unavailability as her marriage crumbled. I'm not going to, for example, say something that is going to affect my daughter's lives for a TV show, for a network, for fans, for ratings ever, she had declared at the reunion. The words had sounded definitive, unwavering. Yet, as Andy had pointed out, introducing Morgan, co-starring in that music video, it had all contributed to the very narrative she now wanted to control. The runaway train of speculation had been, in part, fueled by her own actions. She remembered the initial excitement of having Morgan in her life. The shared adventures, the quiet understanding, the unexpected joy. It had been a balm during a time of immense personal upheaval. But the public's insatiable curiosity, fueled by their joint appearances and cryptic social media posts, had turned something personal into a spectacle. The diamond necklace, the matching rings, the shared tattoos, each detail had been scrutinized, debated, and ultimately weaponized by those who demanded answers she wasn't ready to give. Now, with season 15 looming, she knew she couldn't maintain the same facade. The producers had laid down the gauntlet. The fans, her loyal viewers who had followed her journey for 15 years, deserved more.